Hi, this is Mason. It's 11 o'clock in the morning in Syracuse, and we're live in the 315. Here's Brian Higgins.
Morning. What's going on, everybody? This is our last live in the 315 of January, hard to believe. We says don't start. Holding. Are we good to start? What's up, everybody? Weez, Kev, all y'all out there here on this Thursday morning. Link pin top of the chat if you'd like to join the show. You all know the deal on that. Rob, how you doing? Glad to have you all here on this Thursday. Lots to do today. There's always lots to do. It's just busy. Always busy. Lots to do. So, what do we got? Oh, now we can start. Welcome into the show. What should we do today? We'll have a brief look back at Syracuse and NC State. I mean, we did a whole post-game show on it. We barely talked about the game. I don't know how much we really want to talk about the 20-point loss at this point now 2 days later, but that is officially in the rear view, and Syracuse will be taking on Notre Dame coming up on Saturday. We'll get you a little no wrong answers for the Cuse and the Irish later on in the show. And by popular demand, we will be debuting a new segment today entitled Who's Next? If you were with us last night on the TPS report, we debuted some of the logos and whatnot. AI went just ham on it last night when I was done with Jordan, and it came up with some doozies. So we're going to be debuting our new segment, Who's Next?, in which we break down potential candidates to be the next head coach of the Syracuse Orange basketball team. Which, are we a bit ahead of ourselves? Because you might ask the question, well, isn't there currently a head coach of the Syracuse basketball team? Of which the answer is yes, there is currently a head coach of the Syracuse basketball team. But I think we can all agree at this point there will probably be a different head coach of the Syracuse basketball team come sometime in March. And why not, twice a week, give a little thumbnail, a little sketch of potential candidates for the job, and we'll see once we're done with this multi-part series. I don't know how many we're going to get through by the time a new coach is hired, assuming that's what happens. I've already written out a list of 15 people. Some of them don't have a shot in hell. Some will certainly be in the mix. Is the next head coach of the Orange on this list? I don't know. Maybe. Will some of these people on this list 100% be interviewed and considered? Absolutely. And will it give us something to talk about over the course of these next long, chilly, because it's freaking cold out there, weeks? Absolutely it will. So we'll do that later on in the show today. Yeah, we spent far too long on this after the end of the TPS report last night. We're cooking up graphics and AI videos and all sorts of stuff. All thanks to that cartoon owl that just sent us off the deep end. So we got all that stuff getting lined up, ready to go, and we'll get into that later on here in the hour. Again, link pin top of the chat if you'd like to join the show at any point today to talk about anything. Not a whole lot, if anything, going on in the football world. The Portal Watch and all that has certainly fizzled out, sputtered out, and ended for now. If anything comes up with that, or Fran, or coaching staff, or whatever, we'll certainly apprise you of that going forward. But we're kind of in a basketball mood at the moment. Lacrosse season does start on a Sunday. Syracuse and BU, that is Boston University, will be Sunday. What time is that game? Should we do a post-game show for that? I got to figure out if we're doing a post-game show for that. We're getting awfully close to the date with not knowing. It's the beauty of just being in control of all your old stuff. Like, if we feel like doing a post-game show, we'll do one. That game is it's a 1 o'clock game Sunday, ACC Network Extra, inside the Dome. We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out in due time. If we're going to rock a little post-game show for BU on Sunday, you'll all be apprised. If not before, I'll certainly tell you during the post-game show for basketball on Saturday if we're going to do that or not on Sunday. But looking forward for the start of LAC season. That's a ranked matchup. BU is currently 16th in the country. The Orange, of course, are ensconced in the top 5 at the moment. I believe they're preseason 3. Is that where they're hanging out? And Joey Spallina is one of the shortlist preseason favorites for the Tewaaraton. And if he does anything like he's done the last 2 seasons, by the end of this year, given health, he will become Syracuse's all-time leading scorer, passing Mike Powell. Will he be better than Mike Powell? No. Is that a negative against Joey? No. So Lax is coming. Women's basketball continues to cook. Felicia Leggett-Jack was out there saying, we need more money for NIL. They're 16-4 right now. It's like, okay. Yeah, it's tough. Syracuse fans are being asked to fund a lot of things right now. A lot of things right now. Who do the women play tonight? Syracuse women's basketball. What's their schedule look like for this evening? There should be a game tonight for the women. They're 16-4. They're 6-3 in the league. Currently pretty well locked into the NCAA tournament, unless the wheels fall off. Georgia Tech tonight in the Dome. That's a 6 o'clock tip tonight in the Dome. Not 9 o'clock, so we like that. They can play games earlier. Huh? How about that? The ACC network knows how to do an earlier tip time for the women's games on Thursdays. Not so much for the men's games on Tuesdays. How about that? Watch party? I'm not a big watch party guy, Weiss. Well, I don't know. I prefer to watch. I'll tweet, whatever. But if it's a watch party, now I'm like stuck in one place watching. Like I can't during the games. If I'm getting ready for there's like other things to do. I got to get stuff ready. And if it's a watch party, I got to be locked in. That's what the TV is, and just a lot of things. And I don't know. It's not bringing it. How many actual Spallinas call SU home at this moment? That's a good question, Weez. Are there still 3 on the roster? I think the answer is 3. I believe the answer is 3. To the lacrosse roster. Qs.com. Men's sports. Lacrosse roster. We still got Jake, Brett, and Joey. There's Jake, number one in your program, number 1 in your hearts, the junior. Scrolling. There's Joey, number 22 in your programs, also number 1 in your hearts. Scrolling. And Brett, number 44 in your programs, also number 1 in your hearts. That's quite the Spallina family has hogged the good numbers. They got 1, 22, and 44. Get it, Spallina family. They got them all. Joe Filardi, you'll remember him from his quarterbacking escapades. If we see him on the field on Sunday, he'll be wearing number 47. An homage to Rick Beardsley? Hey now. So there we go. And we'll see who ends up playing attack with Trey Deer out for the season with that car accident that he had sometime over break. So lots to look out for when it comes to Lax coming up this weekend. Alexis Spallina, is this her freshman year at Clemson? What's Alexa's deal? Alexa Spallina. We gotta look at the Spallina sisters, the home thing. Is Alexa starting her freshman year? Alexa is a freshman, a sports communications major at Clemson. She'll be wearing number 1. The Spallina family doesn't miss out on the good numbers. They're just like, yeah. What numbers are associated with your school in any context? Okay, we'll take those. And everyone likes number 1, right? Yeah, we got that too. We'll take that. We'll take the whole thing. Is there a 22 on the Clemson women's team? A senior attacker from Huntington, New York, Tanner Scarola. Yeah, did Alexa want that number, or did she box you out for number 1? When does Syracuse play Clemson in women's lacrosse? We gotta circle the calendar. Jordan Capozzi in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. When's Syracuse Clemson W Lax? When? Or do they not play? What? How do they not play? They're in the same league. Clemson Vanderbilt, Clemson Furman, Clemson Stanford, Clemson Queens, Clemson Florida, Clemson BC, Clemson Carolina, Clemson Notre Dame, Clemson Virginia, Clemson Mercer, Clemson Pitt, Wofford Clemson, Virginia Tech Clemson, Davidson Clemson, Clemson Cal, in Berkeley, Clemson Duke, Clemson Florida State. Syracuse and Clemson don't play? This is what is going on with the women's lacrosse schedule? I have questions, and we need to launch a full-scale investigation immediately. Why is the Syracuse women's lacrosse team not taking on Alexis Polina and doing so every week? It's ridiculous, and I will not stand. The women's lacrosse team has an exhibition at 9 in the morning Sunday against Niagara in the Dome. Sweet. Their real opener is Friday, the 6th, against Maryland. That's a not playing around opener. Man, I don't care who the women's lacrosse head coach was, Gary Gate and DeKayla and now Reggie Thorpe entering his first year. They're open to the season. Maryland in the Dome, Carolina in the Dome. Then they literally fly across the country at Stanford. Yeah, they're just like, they are in it going forward. They are in it going forward in the traditional, what's become traditional regular season ender on a Thursday against Boston College out in Chestnut Hill. But no Syracuse and Clemson. That's too bad. That's too bad. So there we go. CJC is offering apps. Ooh, I like apps. Red Autry's swipe card wouldn't work at the Mello Center. Oddly, though, they left the door propped open, so he's still at work grinding away. It didn't work, but he never actually left. So he's still at work grinding away. Yeah, they sling in love. Like, is that open? Can you go to the exhibition at 9 a.m. on a Sunday? Are the doors open to that? Or are they just like, they're going to be just setting up for the men's game? Like, what are they? Well, who's down there? What is going on? What is happening in here? That's at 9 a.m. on Sunday. There's a basketball game that tips off at 6 p.m. on Saturday night. I realize that's plenty of time to do the Dome changeover, but that's like brutal on the Dome staff. They're like, all right, game ends at 8, yada, yada, yada stuff. Start changing it over. That thing will get turned over by midnight-ish probably, and in reasonably full completion. But then there's a game that doesn't count starting the next morning at 9 o'clock. Apologies from me to you, all Dome staffers. So second half exhibition beer is what I'm hearing, CJC. Second half exhibition beer. That's like, it's not the changeover crew. Like, the changeovers are reasonable. Like, anyone that's just working the changeover, that's actually a reasonable changeover hour. You'll be out of there at not the ass crack of dawn. Like, you'll be done by midnight probably, if not sooner. Like that, they keep that puppy. They keep that puppy moving, and usually the taking down of the court and stuff goes faster than the putting it up. But the people that have to work that till the end and then be back to deal with whatever they got to deal with for a women's lacrosse exhibition game at whatever the heck o'clock on Sunday morning, good luck with all that. Note, we will not be doing a post-game show or a watch party for the women's lacrosse exhibition game on Sunday morning against Niagara. We may do something for the men's lax game against BU. I need to check my actual real life weekend schedule to see if anything is going on. But we'll see if we can do that. We got graphics and lacrosse graphics and stuff are in theory in the works, so I can be ready to go for lax stuff in due time. It's really, really hard to think about lacrosse, and I love lacrosse, as we know. It's January 29th. What's it outside right now? Has it gotten to 10 degrees yet? And it feels like my bones are just rock solid ice. The high tomorrow, I think, is negative 78. I don't know, something like that. The high. And it's like, yeah, let's get fired up for lacrosse season. It is the stone cold dead middle of the winter. They gotta... It's just bump the beginning of lacrosse season back to, I know it's not going to start in the warmth of the spring, but can we just, it used to start March 1, and then a slow creep began in the mid-late 90s, and then it just kept creeping and creeping. It was the middle of February. Like, there was a while when I was doing the Lags games and the women's hoops games, there'd be a little overlap. There was a brief overlap. There was a couple weeks overlap, and you're like, whoa, that was a busy couple weeks. And then the lax season started moving earlier, and then women's basketball actually got good, so their season started going later and later and later. Legitimately, the year that the women's basketball team made the national championship game, the basketball and lacrosse seasons overlapped by 2 full months. 2 full months. I missed so many lacrosse games that year. I showed up with Kyle like April, like, so who are you? What's been going on here? Who are you? What did I miss? Like I missed the whole freaking season. It was unbelievable. Just way too much overlap, and a conversation and whatever for another day. They got the main way to fix this, right, is if you're going to bump back the start of the season to something reasonable, you're also going to have to bump back the end of the season. And I know Memorial Day is sacred in the lacrosse community. You can still do something with Memorial Day, but can you bump the title game off it a week or two or something and stage the quarterfinals or the semis or I don't know what on Memorial Day weekend. Make a to-do, but don't make it the final to-do. That's neither here nor there. That's a story for another day. But there shouldn't be lacrosse happening that counts and matters on February 1st, especially with how short the schedule is and how much every single result has an impact on RPI strength of schedule, the final result. And yet, Syracuse is going to play 2 Northeast outdoor games in the month of February. They're going to Harvard and Princeton outside in February. It's a lunacy. But there we are. Rant over. But I'll let you know if we're doing a lacrosse post-game show. Love the Lax. Chance to win the Natty this year. We'll see how it all goes for lacrosse. Has not raised the trophy since 2009. Shout out to John Desko. We mentioned it briefly the other day. He's going in the Ring of Honor in the Dome on the 24th of April, I believe. What game is that? What game is the 24th of April? It feels like it should be Virginia. Let's scroll. 24th of April. 24th of April. 25th? I thought I saw 24th of April. Is it the 25th of April? The Orange are playing Notre Dame on the 25th of April. What date is it? John Desko. Oh, well, I can't remember. I guess it's the 11th of April. It is Virginia. All right, John Desko's going into the Ring of Honor against Virginia. That's very fitting, very fitting. Somebody invite Dom Starsia. What's old Dom up to? That'll be great. Great guy, John Desko. Well-deserved whole thing. You met the Utah Lax head coach in Aruba? All right. He was in Aruba, V-Dog. I guess you couldn't make him sad about it. I mean, he was in Aruba. Meaningful resignations in February. How about meaningful contract buyouts in February? If I am Red, and I've said this time and time again, and we're going to get into our exciting new segment, Who's Next, as a look at potential future coaches of the Syracuse basketball team sooner than later at this point. And here we are with the situation that, like, if I'm Red, unless you're paying me all my money, I'm not voluntarily leaving town right now. Like, the only way I am Red, like, I don't go kicking and screaming right now, is if basically John Wildeck or whoever comes and tells me, like, hey, this is it. This is it. You're not back. Like, no matter what happens from here on out, you're not back next year. We want to make this go as easy as possible. Here's your money. And thank you and good day. And that is the only way I'm leaving that office if I'm Red. Like, fall on the sword or anything like that? Absolutely not. I'll pick up the sword and wave it around. You trying to take my money? Absolutely not. Think of what happened to Brian Kelly down at LSU. Like, they fired the guy when he had way more money left in his contract than Red does right now, whatever the numbers was. And then they tried to claim after the fact, like, we fired you for cause. He's like, cause of what? And they tried to, for a minute, they were trying to lawyer their way out of some of the money. And he's like, no. And now they owe him absolutely every single freaking nickel of it, as you should. Like, if you don't want to pay the money, don't sign the crazy contracts. To my guess, and again, Syracuse private school, we don't get to see the contracts, it's not public information, blah, 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 blah. My guess, and this is my guess based on what Boeheim said, whenever it was a month or two ago, wherever he said it, that Red, and he said that, hey, Red should get 5 years. We're in year 3. My guess at why Jim said 5 as opposed to any other number, and this again, just a guess. My guess is why Jim said 5 is because Red, and I'm guessing here, has a 5-year contract, which would mean there are 2 years left on it after that. I don't know what Red's making. Just ballpark guess, 3 and change. I don't know. We're just shot in the dark guess of what Red's making. It's possible he's making even less than that. Obviously, Boeheim was one of the best deals in the coaching business for years and years and years. You know, you hire a new coach, so the market's got to adjust a little bit. But the fact that he was hired from directly inside the system and brought back up, you probably got him for cheaper than you would have under different circumstances. So we're just guessing here. There's probably somewhere between, I don't know, somewhere between $5 and $8 million left on Red's contract-ish. Well, that's a lot of money. And people say, okay, well, maybe they can't move right away because of the money. The other side of the coin I offer to you is this. We've seen the Dome, right? How much money do you stand to lose if you're Syracuse by the Dome being empty? So you may think, okay, we have to pay Red X, but once you start factoring in the amount of money that you don't have because nobody's coming to watch the team in person, the gap closes enough. My guess is that, like, in real money, if you do the full math on it, that you'd actually be out in the grand scheme of life and athletic department, it's probably not that much. Now, it's easy for me to say it's not that much. Whatever the difference is, I'm sure if any of us got that difference, we'd be very excited to have any of the numbers involved in this conversation. That V-Dog is why I don't know what Red's getting paid. Like, he had no experience. Like, you got to pay him something. I have no idea. I have zero guess at what he's getting paid. If you told me he was getting paid $2.5 million, 3, 2, upwards of 4, I mean, I'd be shocked if he was getting paid less than 2.5, based on how these gigs work. I don't know. So, you know, whatever the number works out to. I don't know what kind of buyouts they write into contracts like this, especially for a first-time head coach that got the job under the circumstances that he got the job. I have no idea, and Syracuse intentionally does not give us any insight on that. Zero idea, zero clue. But, like, yeah, the amount of money, when you talk about the volume of people not in the Dome, concessions, parking, ticket sales, just everything that goes into the financial calculus of a Syracuse basketball game day. Not that the athletic department gets all that money, but there's a big pile of money. There's whatever you're going to owe Red and potentially the assistants, and then whatever you're going to owe a new head coach. Yeah, it's a lot of money to make a change like this. But when you subtract out what you're losing, I think the gap will shrink enough that you can't worry about the negative math, and that, you know, you just go and bite the bullet. And that said, I get it's amazing how athletic departments in universities always cry poor, and there's the stories about the crazy deficit like that Rutgers is running right now, and all these things like that. And then I'm sure that's all true. But when's the last time Syracuse University bounced a check? Like, they're good for it. Like, I get there's rules and laws about what you can do with endowments. Like, there's plenty of money. And that you should be frivolous and wasting of said money. That, all things considered, whatever you got to do to buy out Red here for the last 2 years, it's a drop in the bucket. It's a drop in the bucket, and it's going to have to be done at some point. With all that said, shall we debut our ridiculous new segment? Do we want to debut our new segment with an exciting new open that will lead us toward what's next, even though the immediate step to get to what's next, the removal of one Red Entree, hasn't happened yet.
Mason here. It's time to continue our search for the next Syracuse basketball head coach. With today's candidate, here's Brian.
Oh, look at these owls. There's a lot going on. This music, AI just popped out this music. It keeps going. Like, normally I edit it a little shorter. Yeah, but no. Day one of Who's Next, we're gonna We're just going to keep this groove going for like the next minute or so. So here's what we're going to do. Yeah, here they went with like an underwater club beat thing. Every Thursday, which is today, and Monday, are 2 episodes of Live in the 315 Weekly. Until we know who's next. We're going to do this segment where we give you an option of who might be next. Oh, yeah. This music, like, AI, like just some AI spit this music out last night. I'm like, I don't get, we got to do the segment right now. I almost restarted the TPS report last night. I'm like, this music's popping. We need to do this segment right now. So up to this point here, as we intro this new series here, I've got a list of 15 names. Some of them are just asinine. Some of them are logical. Is the Orange next head coach on this list? I don't know. Will we get through all 15 names before the actual answer is provided to us? I don't know. But this is our new series with this aggressive owl in no, over here. It's always a mirror. There. Whoop, went too far. There he is. There's our owl. Look at that guy. Look at him. He's just like, I'm an owl. I say who. He's in charge. So who's next? Under the assumption that Adrian Red Autry, at some point by the middle of March, will have coached his final game as head coach of Syracuse University. And we are going to start our series today with a guy that I feel reasonably certain is going to get an interview. And I feel reasonably certain that many people have extremely strong opinions one way or another about the first name that we're going to bring up, but I am certain that he will 100% be in the mix one way or another, is one Gerry McNamara. So let's rewind back to the, seconds and minutes, right? Jim Boeheim has that final bizarre press conference after his last game at the ACC tournament and whatever that was, March of 23. Donna Datota's like, did you just retire, Jim? And Jim's like, what do you mean? It was a scintillating interaction back and forth. Like, what just happened? That was at, whatever time it was, 2-ish in the afternoon. And then by 5 and change, officially, Boeheim had retired, whatever. And Adrian Autry had been announced as the new Orange head coach. Based on everything we know about what happened at that time, realistically, it was either going to be Red or Gerry who succeeded Jim Boeheim at the time. Nobody succeeded. And Red was picked. Red was the associate head coach. We all get how that went down at the time. And then you look at Red versus Gerry as what they bring to the table. And in many ways, their strengths and weaknesses balance each other out, which is why they were both on Jim's staff. Red, good recruiter. Gerry, good X's and O's guy. Red's getting the guys. Gerry perhaps more personable with the guys. Red a little more laid back. Gerry's got that fire in him that we know about when it comes to Gerry McNamara. And on top of it, Gerry is on the short list, if not the most beloved player in the history of Syracuse University. So back 3 years ago when it was one or the other, you can make the argument, should they have opened it up and the whole thing? That's pointless now. That was 3 years ago. Now I feel reasonably certain that Gerry will get a look, but this time it better be one of many that are getting looked at. So Gerry took over after the first year being Red's associate head coach. Gerry took over Siena. Siena 2 hours down the road. Lovely Loudonville, New York, just outside Albany. They play their games downtown in Albany. Siena is in the MAC, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Siena traditionally is one of the better teams in the MAC. They had fallen on hard times. Generally what happens at Siena is when Siena has a good coach, they win big, they make the tournament, and they go get another job. Paul Hewitt was there. Fran McCaffrey was there. Louis Orr was there. On and on and on. There have been a lot of Mike Dean, who ended up at Marquette, was there. There have been a lot of coaches that have used Siena as a launch point to their careers, which is obviously what Jerry has planned. So Jerry took over a 4-win Siena team. They improved to 14 wins last year in year one. And right now, here in year two in Siena, Jerry is 14-7 overall. He's sitting 7-3 in the MAC, which is good for third place at the moment. So they're in the mix. They're in the mix. A chance to go to the NCAA tournament. The MAC is and always has been a one-bid league. They're going to have to win the MAC tournament to go to the NCAAs. And what we know from Jerry is exactly what Jerry's doing at Siena. It's a well-coached team, a lot of structure, a lot of energy and effort. They play like you would expect a Jerry McNamara team to play. The question now is, if you're Syracuse, you've already not hired Jerry once. If you're Syracuse, and you've already had the end of the Boeheim era where things were declining, and now we've had the Red era where the decline has continued. Almost regardless, this almost has nothing to do with Jerry, right? Do you hire somebody else from that same immediate tree, or do you rip the Band-Aid and turn the page completely? Or, and we'll get to this later in our Who's Next series, do you find one of the very, very limited few middle ground options? Because there's not many other Syracuse-related people out there to potentially even look at. Oh, we'll talk about him another day, fella Ferda. What you have missed in this Who's Next series is we're doing one candidate a show until the answer is provided to us. Yours is on the list. We'll get to him. Later on. But we start today with Jerry McNamara. Who's next for Syracuse? For Jerry to get the job, here's what I think has to happen. I think they have to make the tournament. I think if Siena does not make the tournament, that becomes a very hard sell to hire a guy that literally has never made the NCAA tournament. And we all know that. We talked about this last night on the TPS report. Here's one thing I worry about. Because we're seeing it happen to Red, and it would be even more dramatic if it happened to Jerry. What if Syracuse hires Jerry, and then Syracuse doesn't get better? Jerry is one of the most beloved people associated with Syracuse basketball in the history of the program. Do you want to boo Jerry? Yeah, do you want to boo Jerry, who's been part of some of the most important moments in the history of Syracuse basketball, from the national championship to the 06 Big East tournament and on and on and on? Man, I don't know. I love Jerry. I think, you talk about represent the program, all that stuff. Obviously, he'd do that in spades. Is he the right guy to lead the team? Can he get players? And the main criticism against Jerry when he was on the Syracuse assistant side of things, and this was kind of a pre-beginning NIL criticism, is that Red, great recruiter, right? We all know that. Jerry was often in the mix for top players. He'd be the lead recruiter on some really highly ranked guys, and they often seem to be point guard types. And then what would happen in the end is the player would go to Kentucky, the player would go to Duke, etc. They'd lose out to the apex school. Jerry didn't really reel in the top fish. The question is, at this point, in the land of NIL, does that even matter anymore? Now we look at what Jerry's doing at Siena. Their NIL is obviously nothing compared to Syracuse's, but Siena is reasonably, if they're not the best, they're on the really, really short list. Siena's got the best NIL funding, whatever situation going in their league. So, all right, now you can acquire talent at the top of the league you're in. Whomever is going to be the next Syracuse head coach, yeah, you're not outspending Duke, right? Syracuse has money, but they don't have Duke and Louisville money. They got money, but they don't got money. So that's going to be a challenge for anyone who's the next head coach. I think Jerry's going to get a look. I think Jerry's going to get a very serious look. I think if Jerry makes the NCAA tournament this year, he has a legitimate chance at the job. I think it'll be a fascinating process to watch out for. It's also out of all the hires to make, it is the easiest one to criticize. Because if it goes wrong, it's just like you had the guy in the building, like no new ideas, you're just doing the same thing. And God, like Jerry failing would be so sad. Jerry path to Syracuse is Roy Williams style. What would that be, Sean? Another big time job before he comes back home? Would that be the plan? He's got to go get his Kansas type job and then coming. Like that's possible. I mean, Jerry is how old is Jerry? Jerry's got to be 41 right now. I think Jerry's got to be 41. I believe. Right now. So, like, it's possible, right, that, all right, let's say they don't hire Jerry this time around. Okay, so let's say Jerry's at Siena for 2 or 3 more years, gets him in the tourney once or twice, and moves on to, I don't know, whatever the next level up job is, gets a Big East job, gets an A-10 job, gets a whatever, and then does well there. Like, there's a route, right? If whomever the next head coach doesn't work, or if whomever the next head coach is slightly older, right? So doesn't have a longer, runway, that like, could you come back in 5-10 years at your next hire, whenever that is, and Jerry would be ready then? The Roy Williams scenario. Obviously, Roy was at Kansas even longer than that. Went from, the staff at North Carolina and then Kansas, and obviously, did so many great things there, then back to Carolina, where he won a few national championships before retiring a few years ago. Could Jerry have that trajectory? He has enough runway left in his career there is enough time left for him to do that, which I'd say is good. I said this at the time when Red got hired. At the time where Red got hired, and a lot of people were disappointed it wasn't Jerry. At the time, I said the only way, because he stayed on the staff, right? The only way Jerry ever becomes the Syracuse head coach now is by leaving and then coming back. Well, he's left, but it feels like, at least to this second, not enough time has passed. It's not like Jerry went into Siena and they were in the Sweet 16 last year. Did Jerry get Quadir? Like, Jerry got plenty of guys. Jerry's whiffs were not an evaluation. Jerry's whiffs were not low-level talent. Somebody mentioned Andre Jackson. The recruits Jerry missed on, and I'm forgetting all of the names, were like there was that guard that went to Kentucky, then I think transferred out to Hop at Washington, who ended up not being all that, but he was a major recruit, if somebody can remember his name. There was 1 or 2 that ended up at Duke. Like, Jerry's problem was not evaluating talent. Jerry's problem was not identifying talent. It was at the time as a recruiter. He was not recruiting at the apex level. Like getting Copeland, like it's fine. Quadir Copeland was a solid recruit. Quadir was not a major recruit. You look at Autry's list, you're looking at, now, obviously Benny turned out to be a grease fire, but that was a big get. That he flipped Judah at the last minute right, a top 30 guy. Obviously, you look at the roster now, and he was significantly involved in Donnie Freeman. Yes, Quade Green, Sean. That's who I was trying to think of. Like, one of Jerry's biggest losses. Like, Jerry thought he had Quade Green, and who knows what happened with, I'm sure there was a little behind the scenes before that was really a thing. It was Kentucky and Calipari after all. But you look at, like, high-level recruits, Autry's got a list, Jerry does not. Jerry has a list of good players. Like, I'm not saying that. But now, with NIL, the calculus has changed. So, like, Red's gotten some dudes. Whether they've worked out or not, that's neither here nor there. And Jerry, But now, and somebody brought this up last night, which I think is a reasonable point. In this time of NIL, how much would Jerry, being who Jerry is, just by being Jerry and by having his history at Syracuse, what does your NIL base do because he's there? Are people more willing to open their pockets for NIL? And I don't mean you and me. I mean the people with the big pockets. Are they willing to open their pockets? And no, I am not talking about freaking Weitzman. And I get that Weitzman has given more than $0 to Siena. That's not the conversation we're having. I'm talking about other people. There's other rich people out there. Are they more willing to give because Jerry is Jerry? And then, if they are, does that fix most of the big-time recruiting problems that Jerry had? His problem wasn't relationships with dudes. It was, whatever. Is that possible, Sean? It's possible. But at the same time, like, if you want to win at the highest level that we're talking about with Syracuse basketball, you need some dudes, right? Like, Jerry was a great college player. But Jerry does not win the national championship without Carmelo Anthony there, right? And you need both those things. You need guys like Jerry, but you need to get a guy like Melo, too. And what Jerry was never able to get was, and I know, has anyone gotten a guy like Melo, but Jerry wasn't able to get a top guy. Troy Weaver got a top guy. Red's gotten some top guys. Can Jerry being Jerry juice the NIL enough that you can now go get top guys just because you being you have hit the mark with people that have the money that want to give it back? And I think that is like, I know Jerry knows ball. I think that is you want to talk about his candidacy? Honestly, if I'm him, like, that's the main if I am Jerry and I'm getting interviewed for this job, that's the main thing I'm pushing. That, like, I'm Jerry freaking McNamara. Money's going to come. We'll get some dudes. I don't know. We'll see. But there we are. That is the start of our new series. Who's next? Look at that owl. Who? Yeah. I know that's not how the owl who is spelled. I don't care. That owl's awesome. Look at him. He should go hang out with Otto. He might eat Otto. Maybe not. We'll keep Otto away from that owl. He's kind of angry looking, but who's next? Red still got a gig, but we are laser focused down the line every Monday and Thursday here on Live in the 315. We will take one coach from my list of coaches here that I've jotted down, and we will explore their path to being the next Syracuse basketball head coach. And we've started with one, Jerry McNamara. What if they offered Jerry and he said no? That's the wrong button. What if they offered Jerry and he said no? I feel on reasonably firm ground, Tronic sources, saying that if they offered Jerry, he would 100 million % say yes. From everything I've heard, Jerry still very much wants this job if it's available. Very, very much wants this job. It's available. Like, that he would say yes so fast that you wouldn't even be able to finish asking the question if it was available. So, like, of all the scenarios, and there's going to be a lot of scenarios, I think, worth discussing when it comes to this, Tronic, I would be knock me over with a feather if Jerry is offered this job and turns it down. I would be absolutely stunned. Absolutely stunned. Yeah, fella Furta, that's the main thing. Like, I love Jerry. You'd wish he had a few more years under his belt, right? Like, be it at Siena, like, even if it was just at Siena, right? Like, Fran McCaffery, like, a lot of coaches, even though the max a lower level, like, they do it right at Siena. They do it up nice. Like, a lot of coaches, like Fran McCaffery went from there to Iowa and had success for a long time. Like, you can go straight from Siena to the big time and have success. Like, Paul Hewitt went straight from Siena to Georgia Tech, and he was in the national title game 4 or 5 years later. And then he got one of the greatest contracts in the history of sports. I believe, I've heard this before, I think Paul Hewitt's contract was something like, once they made the title game that year, he got a 7-year extension, but it always, at the end of every year, it just added another year. So he had like a permanent 7-year contract. I think it was 7. And so basically, whenever they fired him, whenever that was, like, no matter what, they had no way to get out. They always owed him 7 more years. Unbelievable contract. Shout out to Paul Hewitt. Paul Hewitt had, it was 98. He was the Siena head coach right before Louis Orr, who went from Siena right to Seton Hall back when, OG Big East days, when that was a big job. And it's getting bigger again thanks to Shaheen Holloway. But, yeah, Siena coaches have not made that middle step. But what all of those coaches have done, I believe all of them, I think Louis made the tournament, They've all made the tournament. 98, Hewitt made the tournament, and that Siena team was freaking good. They were up tempo. They had all these dudes. They were so fun to watch. They just happened to run into like late stages, 40-minute of hell. Nolan Richardson, Arkansas, who did the same thing but with better athletes, and they lost in the first round. I think Louis made it in 99 with them. McCaffrey made it with Siena, I want to say multiple times. He was the head coach there when they they beat Ohio State, I want to say, in the tournament in the mid 06, 07, 08, somewhere in that range. Like all those coaches have made the NCAA tournament and made some noise. So, and save for Louis Orr, they were all there a decent chunk of years before they got their job. Certainly more than two. So I think it'll be fascinating to see what happens with Jerry's career, regardless. Yeah, I mean, and Fella Ferda, those are both names that I have written down on this list that we will potentially get to at some point, because I have not decided in what order we're doing this list. There's some names on here that are no way going to get hired, but I put on the list just because Syracuse fans have brought them up at various points. You want Florida State's head coach? Yeah, he did have a great press conference. I think they're going to probably keep him. Devin, I really like what Jay Lucas is doing down at Miami. They're probably set on keeping him too. I'm looking at the list I have in front of me. I've only put 2 assistants on this list to discuss. I don't know if they're the right 2 assistants or whatnot, but I put 2 assistants on this list to discuss. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that at some point. But there we are. Who's next? With the crazy owl. I like that owl. I like the cut of his jib. Much like I like the Most. It's Thursday. You can go to the Most today. They're open right now. They open at 9:30 in the morning, Thursday through Sunday. Take the kiddos. Don't. Whatever. There's science for all ages. Go enjoy things at the Most. They got the theater, the whole thing. They got the whole thing. Go down to the Most. I got passes from the Most. I'm still figuring out what we're going to do to help distribute those out into the world. We'll do some sort of contest or something at some point. We got passes going through the rest of the year, so we got time, people. We got time. So there we are. GMAC is the guy. GMAC is the guy we have discussed today, and we'll see where we go next. Maybe I can make a spinny wheel. That seems like a lot of work. Shout out to Tough Traveler Bags and Backpacks out of Schenectady. All right. Shout out to Schenectady, the home of Union College. Shout out to Schenectady. Schenectady doesn't get a lot of shout outs, just in general. But shout out to Schenectady and everyone that knows how to pronounce Schenectady. Shout out to you. All right, should we do a little no wrong answers here for Saturday, because there is a game coming up? I suppose we should do a little no wrong answers for Syracuse and Notre Dame. Here we go.
Hi, Mason again. It's time to find out exactly what's going to happen in the next Syracuse game. This is No Wrong Answers. Here's Brian.
I still feel sad the apostrophe loses its dot every time that opens. Man, we are putting Mason to work. Do we want the next coach to be currently recruiting top 50 talent? Here's the problem, though, right, Mark? With that, as we'll get into No Wrong Answers, Syracuse and Notre Dame here in a second. Here's the problem with that. Are any of the mid-major coaches right now recruiting top 50 talent? And if they're not, are you just hiring somebody that has the same exact profile that Red did? That's a hard sell, because the people recruiting top 50 talent right now are like major school assistants. Realistic, yes. Also, shout out to Rensselaer, the home of RPI, and an entire Polytechnic Institute. All right, no wrong answers. Syracuse and Notre Dame. On the postgame show the other day, I called Notre Dame crap, and I was called out for calling Notre Dame crap because they were headed to overtime and a loss at home to Virginia at the moment. You know what? I'm going to stand by it. Crap. Notre Dame's crap. Yeah, they played well in that one game, but guess what? They lost. Notre Dame is on they're not good. They're fine. They're not good. they're in many ways in the same boat that Syracuse is in right now. When you look at big picture of the season, where's the ACC standings? I gotta scroll to the bottom to find Notre Dame. I want to talk about meaningful games in January. Notre Dame is 2-6 in the ACC. Syracuse is 3-5. The loser of this game on Saturday, that may have make the ACC tournament or not scenarios attached. Notre Dame is 11-10. They're 2-6 in the league. All right, great. They played Virginia close in one game. Guess what? Notre Dame is also done. And here's why I say they're crap. They've lost 6 of their last 7 games. They lost to Cal, they lost to Clemson, they lost to Miami, they lost to Virginia Tech, they lost to Boston, they lost to North Carolina. They did beat Boston College, unlike one team we know, and they lost to Virginia. Notre Dame is crap. I'm not saying Syracuse is much better right now, but we look at the rest of the schedule, the rest of the season for Syracuse. Winnable games. Pittsburgh, crap, is the final game of the year. That could be a very meaningful game in March, for there to be any more games in March. Road game at Wake Forest for the Orange coming up mid-February. That's probably the easiest road game remaining. Cal comes to the Dome in a couple of weeks. Where's Cal? They're 15-6 but 3-5 in the league. They're okay. That'll be the Chris Bell return game to the Dome, where he will score either 30 points or 0 points. He will not score 9. There's just no way Bell either doesn't go off or go totally silent in that game. But you look at the list here, this is Syracuse's second or third-ish easiest remaining game. And this is the only game. Syracuse has lost 4 games in a row right now. This is the only game right now standing between the Orange and a potentially, shockingly long losing streak. What we learned the other day, this is now the first 4-game losing streak in the Red Autry time in charge of Syracuse. So, first 4-game losing streak. They lose to Notre Dame on Saturday. That would be 5. We know that. Then after that, the next 2 games after that are immediate turnaround. Big Monday at North Carolina. Yeah, good luck on all that. Big Monday at North Carolina. And then you've got a Saturday road game at JPJ against Virginia. We all know, are there any must-win games at this point anymore for anything that matters? No. But if you don't want to lose at minimum 7 and maybe who knows what in a row down the line, you better win on Saturday. For Notre Dame, Marcus Burton, their best player, has been out injured for a while. I'm not sure if he's technically out for the rest of the season at the moment, but I don't think there's any chance he plays on Saturday. He's been out. He's only played 10 games this season. Man, he cannot stay healthy. Is he officially out for the year? Here's an article. 2 days ago, Marcus Burton looks like he might return, but will he? From my guy Tom Noy in the South Bend Tribune. Got injured early December. Hey, crutches, something. He's getting better. I don't think there's any way he's actually playing on Saturday. So the Orange will take on Notre Dame without Marcus Burton. As no wrong answers, we look at this game here. Can they win a game? It's obviously, even if they win, it's not taking big picture heat off of Red, but at least it turns the knob down like a notch, just a little, maybe. I don't know. No wrong answers in this game. Will I predict Syracuse to win? Let's find out. Where do we start? Let's start with the former Notre Dame Fighting Irish, J.J. Starling. J.J.'s been kind of unremarkable in his career against his old team. He was kind of unremarkable at Notre Dame against Syracuse. So let's put J.J. down for an unremarkable game. 12 points for Starling against his original school in this game. Donnie Freeman, not the winner of our Wildbirds Unlimited Big Air Player of the Game, despite 24 points and 10 rebounds in the loss to NC State on Tuesday. Donnie's playing well. I don't think that Notre Dame's got anybody to handle him. 22-9 for Donnie in this game on Saturday. How about Sadiq White? Fouled out in 10 minutes, but Red liked his effort, then kind of reeled the words back in on that, because liking his effort was kind of criticizing everybody else's on the team's effort. I think Sadiq will have some moments in the game. Let's give Sadiq 2 lob dunks in the game and a few moments on defense. And maybe he fouls out again. He's very foully at the moment, is Sadiq White. Let's go to the Nates. George and Kings. Kings has been solid recently. He'll be solid with 14 points. George has been... Notre Dame, though, is without their lead guard in Burton. So can George do some stuff in this game? Yeah, we're going to go 12 points, 7 assists, 4 turnovers, and 2 crazy missed alley-oops for Nate George in the game. You got to toss in a couple of just errant alley-oop passes thrown by Nate George before the old ball game is over. Tyler Betsy, 3? 3 of these? 3 threes? Sure. Predicting Tyler Betsy has become darn near impossible at this point. William Kyle, I think because Notre Dame's not a big burly team, this is a game where Kyle can get back to thriving a little bit. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks for Kyle against Notre Dame. If you're Syracuse, you got to watch out for Braden Shrewsbury. He always seems to hit 78 threes against Syracuse. Shrewsbury's going to hit 6 threes in this game, so watch out for that. That'll keep Notre Dame hanging around in it. Kyan Anthony, conversely for the Orange, yeah, right back to struggling on Tuesday against NC State. He's in struggle mode right now. 7 points for Kyan, inefficient shooting again for Anthony, and some turnovers in the ball game. So let's see. What do we got? We're looking at the picture. It's Syracuse and Notre Dame. One of the last best chances for the Orange to get a win. It is a huge opportunity for Syracuse to avoid what could be just an epically long and disastrous losing streak here toward the likely end of the Red era. No wrong answers. Final score in the Dome Saturday night. Syracuse 83, Notre Dame 76. I've predicted Syracuse to win. May your thoughts be with me. Syracuse wins. I got to stand by it. Notre Dame's crap. Syracuse wins the game, but when we're on the post-game show, it'll be won in such an unsettling way against a team that's not that good. I think we'll all still be miserable by the end of the game. So that will feel right on this Saturday. Remember, after the game, as always, you're on YouTube right now. You'll just get back there after the game. 8-ish. We'll be hanging out live on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, do that now. If you don't have your notifications on, turn them on now so you're ready to go for the game on Saturday. We'll have Reds post-game press conference. You all love that. Maybe we'll hear from Micah Shrewsbury. I don't know. The opposing head coaches seem to be making cameos at the podium of late. We'll take your calls, and we will chop it up in the chat. There we go. A little no wrong answers for Saturday. Rob's got Bryce Effer and Luke Fennell getting the game. Is that a good thing? Is that a good thing? Yeah, you might need to root for losses. A win would decrease post-game ratings. It's possible, fellow Ferder. But if they win in a way that people are still pissed off about, people I think will come hang out. People now just like to come for the complaint party. It's a therapy complaint session, the Orange post-game shows at this point. So, like, the couch is open. We'll be here and ready to go on Saturday. All right, there we are. That's live in the 315 here on this Thursday. We've debuted a new segment, Who's Next?, where we explore the future coaching options for Syracuse basketball. Jerry McNamara was the focus of our inspection today. No wrong answers, getting you ready for the next Orange basketball game. And we even got a little lacrosse, and we're still trying to figure out if we're going to do a lacrosse postgame show on Sunday. We better figure it out soon, because today's Thursday. All problems, I don't want to say for another day. Perhaps problems for later on this very day. But we'll let you know when we come to a decision and conclusion on that one going forward. All right, thanks everybody hanging out here today. Immediate future schedule, basketball postgame on Saturday. We'll talk to you after Syracuse and Notre Dame.
Thanks for watching the 315 with Brian Higgins. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn your notifications on. We'll see you next time.